Managing your own rental properties can save you a lot of money if you do it right. But some mistakes can cost you. Whether it's in lost rent, bad tenants, or a financial headache at tax time. Today, we're talking about 3 of the biggest mistakes self-managing landlords make, and how to avoid them. Stick around, because at the end, I'll show you how I keep everything organized without stressing over payments, expenses, or tracking maintenance. Let's start with the biggest rookie mistake, not collecting a security deposit. I know some landlords skip it because they think it makes them more appealing, or they trust their tenants. But here's what happens when you don't take a deposit. A tenant damages the unit but doesn't feel responsible because they didn't pay a deposit up front. They skip out on the last month's rent, thinking, what are you gonna do? And now, you're left paying out of pocket for repairs and lost rent. Always collect at least 1 month's rent as a deposit, and put it in writing in your lease. That way, if a tenant leaves a mess, you have a financial cushion to cover it. However, some states limit security deposits to 1 month's rent, so be sure to check your state or local laws. This one's tricky, because you want to be a fair, understanding landlord, but at the same time, you run a business. A lot of self-managing landlords start off too nice. They let tenants slide on late payments, make exceptions, and before they know it, tenants are calling the shots. Here's what that looks like. A tenant forgets to pay rent and says, I'll catch up next month. You say, okay, just this once, but they start doing it every month. Pretty soon, you're chasing down rent instead of enforcing the lease. And here's the problem, by allowing it once, you're basically waiving your lease terms. If a tenant consistently pays late and you let it slide, they can argue that you've set a precedent. It gets harder to enforce your late fees or take action later because, in essence, you've been giving them permission all along. Here's my rule, rent is due on the 1st. If it's late, there's a late fee. If a tenant pushes the limits, I stay firm. Being clear from day one avoids a lot of stress, arguments, and financial losses down the road. And this one? It's a killer at tax time. A lot of landlords think they can just remember everything, when rent was paid, how much they spend on repairs, which tenants owe what. But that never works. You forget expenses that could have been tax deductions. You lose track of who has paid and who hasn't. You scramble at tax time, digging through old receipts trying to piece everything together. Look, you don't need a complicated system, but you do need a way to track rent payments, who paid, when, and how much they owe. Maintenance costs, labor materials. Property expenses, so you're ready for tax season. For a long time, I used spreadsheets, but that got messy fast. Now, I use a system that keeps everything in one place. And let me show you how it works real quick. You scramble at tax time, digging through old receipts trying to piece everything together. This is what I use to track rent, expenses, and maintenance requests without all the hassle. I can see who paid and who still owes rent. I can log maintenance expenses in seconds. And when tax time comes, all my property expenses are right here. It saves me time, stress, and a ton of frustration. So after struggling with security deposits, tenant issues, and tracking rent, I built a simple system that fixes all of it. Instead of messy spreadsheets or expensive monthly software, I use this. No cloud, so there's no security risk, and it's a one-time purchase, not a subscription. So those are 3 big mistakes to avoid as a self-managing landlord. Have you ever made one of these? Drop a comment below and let me know. If this video helped you, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more landlord tips. And if you want an easier way to stay on top of rent, maintenance, and expenses, check out the free trial of Tenant Management Suite 2025 at the link in the description. It'll make your life a lot easier.